Hello, guys. Welcome to today's series in physics, ultrasound knobology. So, what we'll be discussing today is about understanding your screen interface. So, understanding your screen interface is where we are going to start from this series of physics. There will be other tutorials that will come along the way. So, but we are starting from understanding the screen information. So with me here is a typical ultrasound screen information. This is where you will see when the machine is done booting. So when you put an ultrasound machine on, it's definitely going to bring you to this interface where you see a beam of ultrasound. You see some information either on your right side at the top of the screen. You see some information at the left side of the screen. So for clarity purposes, I'm using Siemens Acuson S1000 for this presentation. Some information you see on my screen here will be or may be different from the one you see in your own system. So, but basically, there are a lot of features that will be similar with what I have here on the screen and with what you are going to have at your own end. So to begin, this is a still B mode image. So, and what we have here, this gray area is what we call ultrasound beam. This is ultrasound beam. This is where the image will form. So all the acquisition, whatever you acquired will be uh, will be formed in this beam. So, and right here we have this is this region. This region is the region of the near field, and this is the region of the far field. So this place is closer to the skin, and this place is further away from the skin. That being said, let's take a look at some of the information looking at us at the right hand side and also at the left hand side. So at the left hand side here is where you have some information. This is where you see the depth. These dots, the bigger ones and the smaller ones, represent the depth at which we are operating on. And this key here represents where the focus is at the moment, this one. So this one is for the uh, focus. Sorry, this is for the focus. So this is the focus setting at the moment, and this can be changed at any point in time. It can go up or it can come down depending on your choice or where you want it to be. So this one right here is the grayscale. So if we have the color Doppler activated, you will also see a color Doppler bar at this side. This is for my machine. Sometimes for other machine, it could be either on the right or usually either at the right or the left, but most commonly it's at the left. Now, there are some other information that we have on the screen. The information we have here. So we'll go into detail to explain what this information represent because they are very vital to make you successful or to help you understand how your image is being formed and which parameters are being used to acquire the image on the screen. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, YouTube/clinical imaging. If this is your first time joining us, also don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook, Facebook/clinical imaging. We are also on Instagram. You can follow us, Instagram.com/clinical imaging. All right, that being said, let's go ahead. So, to the next slide, this is the explanation of what we see at the right hand side of the screen. For example, let's start from A. So, these right here represent the brand or the company that produced this machine, in this case, Siemens. In your own machine, it could be GE, it could be Philips, it could be it could be Aloka, it could be whatever, Toshiba. So, but for this machine, it is Siemens. So, next is something like an ID. This ID represents the ID for the probe that is being activated. So, the probe that was activated is the probe that has this ID. If you check this ID against what is inscribed on the probe, you will see that that both are a match. So always check and make sure that the probe you have on your hand tallies with the ID of the probe on the screen. That will help you to, to confirm that you are actually working with the right probe. So after that, you also see abdomen here. The reason why abdomen is here is because this the probe that was loaded is usually used for an abdominal scan. So abdomen is the preset that was loaded. So every default setting you see here was loaded for the purpose of acquiring images in the abdomen. So every of these right here, all of these are acquired with the aim. All of these are showing or given for the purpose of acquiring an abdominal image. So they have been optimized to get a good image of the abdomen. So this represents the preset that was loaded. In other cases, this could be gynae, this could be OBS, this could be pediatrics, this could be something else. And then if that happens, some of these parameters here will change. Some of these parameters will change. If I change to OBS, that is obstetrics, some parameters here will change. If I change to pediatrics, if I change to some other thing, the parameters will change. So you can see the next one that follows is TIS. What this stands for is thermal index soft tissue, TIS. This is one of the indicators that tells you how much acoustic exposure or how much heating. Thermal index usually refers to heating. So how much heat the soft tissue are receiving. Then this is thermal index bone. It's also something similar to TIS, but this is for bone. Thermal index bone. Now, this is mechanical index. This tells you the likelihood that cavitation will occur. The reason why these three are in red is because there are indicators for uh, acoustic exposure to tell you how much acoustic exposure you are giving the patient. We all know that ultrasound is uh, non-ionizing radiation. It doesn't ionize. It's not part of X-ray and CT scan. It doesn't belong to that range. So it is non-ionizing. However, because ultrasound is a form of energy, there is still need for us to be careful in exposing patients to ultrasound, to acoustic, given the level of acoustic exposure we give our patients. So that's why I have to do these ones in red. They are very, very important that you should watch them while you are scanning. In the future, I'm going to explain the upper limit and the lower limit, and you should know how to adjust to these parameters in order to give the patient doses or expose the patient to as low as reasonable achievable. So, though ultrasound is non-ionizing, we still have to give and maintain the ALARA concept as low as reasonably achievable. So these are what will help you to achieve that, to know when you are going above board and when you are operating at a very good range. The next one that follows, 16 FPS. This is FPS means frame rate per second. 16 means that for the acquisition of abdominal images here, we are using each uh, uh, each acquisition or each for each second that the frames that is acquired are 16 in number for each second. That's what it simply means. So for each second, the machine is acquiring 16 frames. So there are ways to also adjust these parameters, but in our future lessons, I will tell you how. And I will tell you how some other parameters affect this parameter also. Now let's go to I. This is 2D, 100%. This is the output gain. The output gain. Then it is at 100% right now. It's also adjustable. You can adjust it. I will explain also how to modify this and when and if you should touch this parameter. Then the next one is THI. This means tissue harmonic imaging. At the moment, this is not activated. When it is activated, the inactive mode will replace this position when it is active, when tissue harmonic imaging is active. And when another mode is activated, tissue harmonic imaging will come back here. That is how it is in my own machine. So for just the tutorial to stick to the purpose of this tutorial, this is simply tissue harmonic imaging for short, THI. Then going to K. For K, this is the number of the megahertz that the probe that is active is using. So this probe is using 5 megahertz to acquire images. So MHZ is megahertz. So 5 means 5 megahertz. That's 5 million hertz. So that's the frequency of the sound that is being used to acquire the images. This one is L is this represents the B mode gain or the general gain as most of us know it. So it is at optimal value right now, 20 decibel. dB means decibel. And at the right hand side, DR70, this is dynamic range. Dynamic range is at optimal value right now, so is at 70. Then these three are for other processing like persistence, speckle reduction, mapping, and stuffs like that. So they are used to make image, define image in a sharper contrast or in a softer uh, appearance, to make it have a softer appearance or a more uh, softer appearance, or in a more just to change the contrast between the one region and another. So if you are using persistence, it's going to average a lot of frames for you, and this will affect some other factors too, especially the frame rate per second. If you are using persistence, then speckle reduction too is also an algorithm to reduce speckle. Speckle is noise, is a kind of noise in the image. So these are just part of what you see on the screen. There may be other indicators or information you have on your own screen. So, but these are just few that you are likely going to encounter, especially if you are using Siemens. So there are a lot of things that will be similar in other machines. For example, the brand name, probe ID, the probe preset, and all these acoustic exposure indicators and frame rates, uh, tissue harmonic imaging, the megahertz, the general gain, dynamic range. All these things are found in almost every machine. Though there might be different names, how they are, they might have different symbols. For example, dynamic range might have another symbol. Or this one's persistence, speckle reduction may have different other names. So if it's up to you to check your manual to understand what these ones are called for your machine, and how they configure the symbol, what they represent. So, but basically, for most machines, you will find these things common. They don't change. Most of them don't change. Basically, all of them don't change. I don't. You There's always TIS, TIB, MI, frame rates per second, the preset you are working with, the ID of the probe, the depending on the machine, you might have THI, tissue harmonic imaging, available as as an option. You will always see the frequency you are operating with. You will always see the decibel of the B mode gain and dynamic range. Most likely, you will also see dynamic range. So these are very common. So let's go to um, another mode of ultrasound. So if you look at this part of the screen, you will see that we have something else here. This shows that color has been activated. So we are on color Doppler mode. So we are on color Doppler mode on top of a B mode image. So we are now running two modes. This is what we know as duplex scanning, where you have two modes. You are using two modes to acquire your information. And if you look at the right hand side of the screen, you will see that we have different readings for TIS from the previous slide. We have a different reading now. I think in the previous slide we have 16 frame rates per second, but here we have 10. So in my future tutorial, I will explain to you how additional mode or duplex scanning can affect frame rates, can affect mechanical index, can affect tissue and bone in all these parameters, can affect other parameters as well. If you look carefully, you will notice that the B mode has its own acquisition parameters, which is what we have here. It has its own acquisition parameters, while the color mode has its own acquisition parameters. So if you check here, the frequency that was used for the acquiring the B mode image is 5, whereas here it is 3.25. If you check here, the gain is 20, it's minus 1 here. Then we have something we don't have in the 2D parameter, which is PRF. This simply means pulse repetition frequency. In future lessons, I will explain what this means and how you can adjust it and why you need to look at it if you are doing any Doppler investigation. So, if you also noticed, there is no tissue harmonic imaging here, but there is here. So, output gain is 100% here and is also 100% here. So, activating color Doppler imaging on top of your existing B-mode image will add additional reading or additional information at the right side of your screen. So and you need to pay attention because adjusting some parameters that side will determine how your information is going to be presented. Then also you'll need to look at the left hand side because some of the keys you press on your keyboard might affect the changes here, and we are going to see what those keys are and the changes that can be seen at this side and also on this right hand side. So this is also a duplex mode because you can see a pulse wave Doppler and you also see that we have a B mode image, existing B mode image. So if you take a look at the right hand side, you will notice that there is also a different reading for the uh, there is also a different reading for the pulse wave. There's a different reading for the pulse wave, and there's also a different reading for the B mode image. So all of them share the same acoustic exposure parameters, TIS, TIB, mechanical index, and frame rates. So but the frequency is not the same. If you check, this is 5 for 2D image, this is 2.5 for pulse wave Doppler. If you check the decibel, this is 70, this is 20. If you check the dynamic range, they are also different. Then you will see that you will notice, if you look here, you will notice that pulse wave Doppler share the same feature with color Doppler. So because they are Doppler, all Doppler usually have pulse repetition frequency. So you are likely going to see pulse repetition frequency in Doppler applications. So that is how the image here tells us what is how the parameters are and how the parameters with which we acquire our information. So if we go to the this one, if we go to this one, you will notice that for this is a triplex. Why do I say it is a triplex imaging? Because there are three modes. Can you see the three modes? The color, B mode, the pulse wave Doppler, and the B mode or the existing the existing B mode, the pulse wave Doppler, and the color Doppler. So if you check, you will notice that all of the modes are acquired with their different parameters. For 2D, you can see how it's being acquired for with different parameters. And for color Doppler, you see the parameters with which it was acquired. And for pulse wave, you see the parameters with which it was acquired. Look at the PRF for pulse wave Doppler, then look at the PRF for color Doppler. For 2D, there is no need for a PRF. You can see the different frequency, probe frequency or transducer frequency with which they are acquired. This is 5 megahertz, this is 3.25, this is 2.50. So dynamic range is different from the 2D image. So always take a look at your screen. All this information are for you, the user. They are very, very vital. You need them. You don't need to look away. And that is why we're having this tutorial so that you will understand what your screen is showing you. Thank you so much for listening. Please, if you have not subscribed to our Facebook channel, please do so. Follow us on Facebook, Clinical Imaging. Follow us on Instagram, Clinical Imaging. Subscribe to our YouTube page, youtube.com/slash clinical imaging. Always try to stay updated by turning on your notification for more updates from us. Like, share, comment. I will be very, very happy if you do so. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye bye.